Today I will be telling about how to convert my 1958 Corvette to electronic fuel injection. I have done this for my 55 Bel Air several years ago using Edelbrock ProFlow, and that's one of the best things I have done so far in terms of drivability. So now I have this car without a non-original Rochester carburetor. I know that tuning, cold starting, summer temperatures in Texas, and smell of gas in the garage will be always an issue for me. I was aiming to buy an MST atomic set with Edelbrock sump pump. However, lately noticed a new company, Phytec, with a new TBI and fuel pump solution totaling to $1,200. They have quite good reviews so far from the people who had driven with that kit. It looks perfect and has more features than others such as self-learning. Price is also close to the half of the competition. There's no modification on the car, hence no permanent damage to the originality of my Corvette besides the following reversible tasks. One is heater hose insert for temperature sensor. The other one is adding a return line to gas tank sending unit. I kept my original sending unit and I bought another one. And then removing the fuel pump and installing a blocking plate. So my car is 283 cubic inch small block with original distributor, but I converted it to breakerless SE ignition. I have stock intake manifold, and then uh, I have the original metal fuel line, uh, which I used for using the return line. So let's go to the shopping list. First of all, I bought VTEC 30003 Go FE Street fuel injection kit for 400 horsepower. This is the smallest you can get, and I have a stock engine, so I think that was a good option for me. And then you have two options for the fuel pump. Uh, I decided to use frame mount fuel delivery pump. This is called 40005 frame mount fuel delivery kit. This is the inline external fuel pump solution to be used with return line. This option requires that you build a return line to your tank if you don't have one. The kit includes all fittings and hoses. However, customization of your tank is your job. Some people remove the tank and make a complicated conversion. In that case, make a in-tank conversion. I do not even want to empty the tank, which is dangerous. Therefore, I ordered a new fuel sending unit that I can modify while I still drive my car daily. Your other option is to use Fuel Command Center 40003, which is more expensive solution. Uh, it's if you don't want to use a return line and a buzzing fuel pump all the time. And if you have space under the hood, you can use Command Center. It is powered from FE system itself, collects the fuel from stock pump in its sump body, and then pushes with 55 psi pressure to the FE system. Driver's side inside fender has a big room for such in my Corvette. However, I do not want to install such a weight to fiber body. For this option, you would need 3/8-inch fuel line between mechanical and sump pump, and also another line for vent. You would also need a low pressure filter like VIX 33032, including the clamps. And then here is the fuel repair line I bought to install onto my fuel sending unit so that the original line will be used as return line. And then you need to remove your fuel pump, so you need a blocking plate, and this is the P part I have used for that purpose. So let's come to your intake options. Uh, you can keep the stock intake with Carter pattern. I bought this piece to convert my intake to square bolt pattern, and then um, I needed a hole for water temperature sensor of EFISET. So I was using a T heater, which I will show you later, and then it can give you a good reading as the water comes directly from the block. Another option can be to use a thermostat housing riser with ports in it. If you don't want to keep your stock intake, then you can use an Edelbrock intake. A compatible intake with oil filler tube is Edelbrock Performer 2703 or 2701 without oil filler tube in case you want to modify your valve covers for ventilation. It says that it's not compatible with Corvette hood, however the throttle body is shorter than carburetor itself, hence I measured and calculated that new setup will be half inches shorter than the stock setup. Then you would need an Edelbrock 7201 intake gasket, 8008 carburetor stud kit, 8504 intake manifold bolt kit, 9300 gasket sealer, and some RTV silicone. I would also bought an engine enamel 500 Fahrenheit to paint the manifold for stock look. This is the tea heater I bought for fitting the temperature sensor near the fuel pump. And then uh, I bought spiral core spark plug wire sets as the FE cannot be used with solid core wires and I want to minimize the interference. The bad reviews I read about the FE is all about interference. I did not want to cut and splice myself and I was concerned about the length of the cables. Then you would need a step drill in case you will install the oxygen sensor yourself instead of welding. I will replace my pipes and mufflers with aluminum ones from Corvette Central, and welding is not good for the aluminum coating, therefore I prefer the clamp-on installation. Drill needs to be short in order not to drill the other end of the pipe, so this was a good option for me. And then you would need a new air cleaner assembly, as the base plate of your carburetor horn will be now 5-inch diameter and the stock one will not fit. Conversion was almost flawless and took half day for me to do everything except putting the push lock fittings into hoses. First I used the fuel sending repair kit with the new fuel sending unit I purchased, drilled a hole on top of it and used JB weld as shown in the picture. So I used the original copper line as a return line and I used the hoses from the kit for the supply line. Then I drained the radiator, cut the heater hose near the pump and inserted the T-heater fitting and installed the temperature sensor from the kit into it. I also replaced the thermostat at this stage to 180 Fahrenheit. Next I used the drill to drill a hole to exhaust pipe near the transmission and install the oxygen sensor with the kit provided and the clamps I purchased. Then I installed the other fuel sending unit I modified, used a rubber hose to connect the steel line to return port and connect 8AN hose to sender port with a clamp. There's no pressure here, so I think clamping would be fine. Then I removed the fuel pump plate and rod, installed the blocking plate. I also removed the carburetor, steel line and glass filter between the pump and carburetor. I inserted the dormant plugs to heating holes by hammering them down. After that, I installed the trans-tapped adapter. Use the gasket from the kit under the adapter and screw the adapter to the intake by provided Allen screws. Studs are also in the set for accommodating your injection kit. Next step is to bolt down your injection system onto this adapter using the Fitech provided gaskets. At this stage, make up your mind about the cable routes for aesthetic purposes. The cables are long enough so that you would not need to add any cable. However, I did not want to cut, so I bundled all the extra length and hid them behind the coil. You need one connection to the fuel pump, one to the coil minus terminal, one to the battery, and one to the keyed power. If you have a resistor, you can take from it, if not, from plus pole of the coil. Other cables run to oxygen sensor and temperature sensor. One more cable is for the display control panel, which I ran into the cockpit through the dashboard. That cable is also very long. The push lock fittings are mission impossible. I have my both palms red and wounded trying that. I used WD-40 for lubrication, but still it was very tedious to fit them fully. I used below setup for fitting the straight ones. It worked, however, when I came to the angled ones, I decided to heat the hose with the hair dryer, which made it a little easier to fit. At this point, I called VTech twice for some questions, left voicemail, but no one called me back. Finally, I installed the filter before the pump itself, and the microfilter after the pump. I provided fitting and hoses. In my Corvette, my options were very limited, so I connected them in series next to the frame. The pump should be on a lower level than the gas tank, and it should be, I believe, maximum distance of 5 feet from the tank. And also you need to connect a ground cable from frame to the pump. The filters are directional, marked with arrows. Pump's connector should face to the front of the car. So after these installations are completed, I turned the ignition to on to feed the pump. Then I checked for fuel leaks, set up the basic parameters on the control panel like engine displacement and cam, and then started the engine. It started without any issues and ran very smoothly. I idled for 10 minutes to make sure I reach 180 Fahrenheit and observing no temperature issues. And then I checked again for leaks or any cables, hoses near the exhaust and went for a test drive. So here are a few things. First of all, this setup draws 15 amps of current, and I had an original stock generator which is rated at 30 amps. However, when the engine gets hot, I don't think it can feed 30 amps anymore, so the FE system started draining my battery down. And even if you turn on the headlights, the generator cannot catch up anymore. So also I got complaints that the voltage regulators are always problematic. So I decided to replace my stock generator with a generator looking alternator. Another thing I had was that the fuel pump was very noisy. So I decided to buy another brand Valbro GSL391, which was matching the pressure with this kit. So I replaced the fuel pump coming from VTech with the one from Valbro, which was much quieter, and I think it also consumes a few amps less. And I think this concludes my session, and then now you can enjoy the video.